Good evening,
Not yet.
bonsoir,
Not yet.
bienvenue to Authors Unscripted. Today, we're going to have an amazing show for you. I would like to thank each and every one of you who have taken the time to tune in to listen to what we have for you today. So, today, for our shows, we're going to have three amazing authors, speakers. And of course, we're going to have our usual moderators. We're going to have Dr. Fortuna, Nathalie Lyoto, as well as Emmanuel Brice. Mais pour là, I would like to introduce you to what we're going to have for you today. Join us for a very special show with the following guests. We're going to have Isaiah Matias, known also as Zeke pour les intimes. And we're going to have Dr. Flore Lindor Latotu et Eugene Tunier. Jodi, yo pral pote un paquet information pour nous. And I know you guys are excited, cannot wait to hear what they have to say. For now, I'm going to introduce you to our prime moderator, Dr. Fortuna, who will introduce everyone accordingly. Thank you and have a great show. Don't forget to keep your mics on off if you're not speaking and to make sure that there are no distractions in the background. Have a great show, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello. Bonsoir, bonsoir tout le monde. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me very well?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Awesome. So, welcome to the last show of the month. It's the last Sunday of the month, dernier dimanche mois d'août là, et c'est avec un peu de plaisir que nous vraiment accueillir des auteurs spéciaux dans le show today because nous avons trois grands auteurs qui vont faire un travail extraordinaire. Et Jean, Madame Nicole, tu dit tout à l'heure, nous gagnons avec nos trois modérateurs qui sont vraiment là pour capable de faire que nous faisons une bonne expérience, dernière expérience du mois d'août, sans problème. Alors, je rappelle nous que nous sur plateforme Authors Network, qui c'est un auteur qui est là pour promouvoir les auteurs, pour nous capable vraiment faire que tout auteur yo, capable de vendre les livres sur un marché international. Quelques règles du jeu avant que nous commencions. Mon songez mettre les micros nous sous mute. Et si nous pas parler, et puis songez tout que nous pas prendre question yo après présentation yo. On prend question yo à la fin. On a gagné trois auteurs qui ont présenté une après l'autre et puis après, on prend question yo après intervention yo. Ça permet que nous capables vraiment et faire les en ordre, on peut vraiment poser des questions comme ça doit. Mais là, maintenant, nous allons commencer vraiment avec la journée. Nous allons présenter au premier modérateur, nous, qui c'est Mme Nathalie Lyoto, qui va gagner le plaisir et l'honneur pour présenter the first guest for tonight. Madame Lyoto, Nathalie, vous avez le micro pour le
Me-
premier invité.
merci beaucoup, chers participants, merci mes collaborateurs de modération et qui j'en ouye. M'bal présenter jeudi à Monsieur Zik Mathias. Issa est Zik Mathias, mais m'bal faire en anglais parce que biographie là, me recevoir en anglais. Donc, et Monsieur Mathias is a multidisciplinary artist committing to using to art as a force for social change, cultural dialogue, and empowerment with the African diaspora. Now, rooted in his Haitian heritage, his work challenges all stereotypes and amplifies the underrepresented voices and explores identity, love, and human connection through photography, film, sculpture, music, and poetry. As a big fan of film and poetry, I'm looking forward to hearing about his process as he has experienced it. Zeke's work is been featured at Art Basel, at different academic institutions, and multiple venues around the US and elsewhere. He's been guided by the belief that a box never existed, and he continues to evaluate, identify, create, inspire, and access, forging an immense experience that provides thought, ignites changes, and transcends boundaries. As my personal bias is understanding how people form identity, I'm again wanting to welcome Mr. Zik Matthias to the forum. Thank you. Mr. Matthias, you have the floor.
I guess I didn't get that memo right. Thank you, Natalie, for such a great introduction. And I want to thank the Authors Network and the board and Herbie for the invitation on this beautiful panel. And I see a lot of familiar faces. Just not enough time to been in the same room with some of the faces I'm seeing. So it's great to be among great company.
Thank you, Zeke. If I may call you Zeke.
Yes,
I
please.
believe you have a presentation for us today.
Well, yes. So much. I'm a visual artist and well, multidisciplinary artist. I like to find a unique way of presenting, whether through poetry or art, a difference in terms of the visual. What is that you're experiencing? So as a multidisciplinary artist, I use pretty much visual. I use words. I use music. But I always have one fundamental question I ask myself whatever the platform I'm working on, I ask does my soul have enough illumination to cast a reflection? Because if it does, you hope that the work that you present inspires and in terms lead to greater dialogue and conversations. And for me, whatever it is, need it be poetry talking about love, need it be something about activism that speaks on, like for instance, you could have core values as a corporation, but for me, I have core words like, again, for every work that before I even embark on it, it's evaluate. What is the situation that you're evaluating? And then you identify the problem, right? And then you create whatever the medium I use, whether it's music for this platform, it's poetry. So you evaluate, you identify, you create, and from your creation, you hope to inspire. From the inspiration, then you have access to whatever it is that you need to be able to do. So that's pretty much the process for me whenever I embark on là, me commence n'importe travail, me commence, c'est application ça me approach it with. As far as where I did my work, this book, Loving You in My Silence, I was doing a residency at the Intercontinental Hotel. During that time, it was a 5-week residency. I had the opportunity to do the book signing there. And as always, you're going to find poetry is so interesting, right? Because it's searching, for me at least, searching a way to express something. Like love, there's so much scripts, movie scripts, music that's been written about love to the point that you think you can never find a unique way of doing it. So I did a reading in one of the weeks I was there, and of course I asked, what is the definition of love? So you're gonna have those different variations of people telling you this is what love is. I mean, some of the cliche stuff, and someone said, well, when somebody tell you I love you and you say I love you back, to me it's a bit cliche-ish. It's always finding a unique way of saying that I love you. Not that you don't love the person back, but what is the unique way of saying that you love that person? So somebody pull out the Bible. I mean, I think it was Corinthian. They said, love is patient, love is kind. I'm like, well, you're telling me what love is and what love is not, right? So this went on for quite a while. I said, well, if you really want to get to it, well, listen to this line, which went on the lines from the poetry book that says, Deep in my soul, there's an apocalyptic war raging, the Armageddon of all love. So that's another way to tell a person, but is it the beginning? Is it the end? It's like you using words in unorthodox ways to express the true passion that you have for that person. And within that, they couldn't quite understand when I said, well, what is the definition of love? So at the end of the program, 5 weeks, I said, if you come back, then get a chance to read the book, because they all purchased the book. Read the book, and at the end, I'll give you the definition. But the answer is there. Of course, everybody came back. They read the book. They said the answer is not there. I said, what do you mean it's not there? It's there. So I said, well, that's the thing. We always look at, like, we're going to open the book. We're going to read the title, right? And then we're going to read what's inside of it. But you didn't look what's in the back of it. Because if you were to look, you would see my personal definition. I'm pretty sure that's variations of what the definition of love is. But my definition is true love is a reality that does not know the boundary of dreams. True love is a reality that does not know the boundary of dreams. So at the end of that, I thought it might have solved the problem, but it created more confusion. Such is love. Love is a very intricate and delicate, I guess, subject, right, to a certain degree. And we always find ways, like, at least for me, to say, how do you express it without it being so, redundant, right? Imagine you're so profoundly in love with someone and you said, instead of saying I love you, you say my shadow dreamt of you last night. So it's, again, not trying to recreate what the topic or the subject is, but it's finding a different way. Because if my shadow is thinking and dreaming of you, I mean, I don't know where else the love, or where you find that type of love. And that's what basically the book is about, is different ways. What for me, as an artist, if time permits, I would like to read that one poem or two that talks about that love that we're talking about. My shadow dreamt of you last night and brought the sunlight of the moon, the dimness of the stars, and the purest of archangels to bear witness. A sacred affirmation of love's dissertation, tender devotion, royal affection, and random thoughts of adoration. A supple consummation of our shadow's union. My shadow dreamt of you last night, silky curves, captivating hips, crafted rosy lips, olive skin, vanilla kisses, the sweetest of honey. Let me worship you. The vibration of our heartbeat, its rhythmic hum of passion, desirable, delightful, the tenderness of your embrace. Let me worship you. My shadow dreamt of you last night, and in my dream, water, wind, air, and fire surrendered to time, as if space didn't exist. When the sunlight of the moon, the dimness of the stars, the purest of archangels, and the gods of all gods asked me, are you in love? I simply answered, look at the tears of our shadows. Even shadows have dreams. So in other words, it's just basically, again, finding a different way of expressing, at least to me, what love is about, right? I'm amongst a lot of great writers, I know for certain, and I'm pretty sure we all have our ways of expressing, but for me, it's finding that unique way, because if you're talking about, archangels are already pure, but we're talking about the purest of archangel. And what the poem is basically talking about, a lot of the time when we tell somebody we love them, but we haven't connect spiritually first. But for me, before the physical consummation, you have to connect. You have to connect spiritually. You have to be able. So, what better way to connect spiritually without with which better way to connect? Basically, you look at the sources of nature. You're inviting the sunlight of the moon. You're inviting the stars. You're inviting, the archangels to come serve as witness for this spiritual consummation, right? And so when we get down to once that's been consummated, the spiritual consummation, the connection, right? If you want to substitute a word for it, then you go to the physical part. Then that's when the descriptive part comes in, and um, so I leave that to for the interpretation what it's supposed to feel like. Because if somebody tells you that they want to worship you, I mean, you know, depending how creative you are, you could think what the person is talking about. So that is one of the poems from there, and that poetry book was based on a movie called "I Love You in My Silence." And again, it's another way of expressing the love, the boundaries or the lack of boundaries when you're talking about, you know, a subject that's so descriptive, so intimate, so tangible, but yet intangible, right? So the movie was a silent movie. There was no exchanging of words or anything like that. So you could imagine when people came in the theater, I premiered it during Art Basel week, and to 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 express love, because we always want to, you know, we think sometimes that we always gotta say words, right? But words that's not filling. But I think in silence, you're just as powerful in expressions. I'm not saying ignoring or anything like that, but in silence, you just there. You're sitting on that park bench without saying a word. The person feels the your presence, right? I I remember a poem about how sometimes, like, you're so deeply madly in love, like you look on the floor, you see that your shadows are intermingling while you're just sitting there apart. So it's just a different ways of expressing love. And again, it's not something that's easy, but it's just a different way of approaching it. So I'm reading one more poem, so we can get the fear.
Mr.
Am
Z.
I out of time?
Yes, I mean, we won't have time for the second poem.
Oh,
Merci
okay.
beaucoup. Yes, thank you.
I thought, well, it told me 15 minutes. My apology.
Yes, I mean, we'll have time for Q&A. We'll come back to you at the
Okay.
very end. Yeah, but thank you so much. Merci beaucoup pour cette
But thank you, Dr.
présentation.
Fortuna. I appreciate it for the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. So, but thank you so much for this presentation. Like I was saying, le livre est vraiment informatif. Je pense que c'est un livre qui nous invite à redéfinir l'amour. En tant qu'artiste, Monsieur Zick a vraiment, nous avons de façon d'explorer l'amour de façon unique et différente. C'est définitivement une très, très, très belle exposition, un très beau livre, un livre à acheter, à lire et à déguster. Après ça, nous avons l'honneur d'accueillir notre deuxième invité, qui est Docteur Marie-Flore Lindor Latortue. Madame Latortue a une biographie que nous allons lire. C'est aussi en anglais. Et Dr. Lindor is a global thought leader with over 33 years of expertise in health, administration, education, and leadership. As the executive director of AEDAP and founder of Gadetetu, she brings people together across borders through culturally grounded programs and advocacy. Her inspiring philosophy of managing from within encourages leaders around the world to lead with empathy and resilience. She is also an author, a sought after speaker, strategist, and bridge builder, working tirelessly to advance health, equity, and preserve culture on a global scale. Please join me in welcoming our second guest, Dr. Flore Lendo Latortue. Madame Latortue, vous avez le micro. Bienvenue parmi nous.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think
there is no coincidence in life. What I appreciate the most with this platform, it fits within Gadeteto because there's no hidden agenda, and that allows me to complement the authors network, the team, Hervé Fanini Lemoine for his vision, and also Quisqueya Publishing that also publish my books. And today I will dive with you with one of the book that is Gadeteto. The cover of the book tells you that it's not like my colleagues Zeke and Eugene, a movie, but it is ready to be, the movie is ready to be made. Zeke, if you want to do it, let's do it. Why? Because why Gadeteto? And why not? Generally, they will be biased and say that Haitians, yo pali. Okay, yes, we do read and we do write. But this platform of the Haitian Network also will allow all those who procrastinate, all those who second guess the capacity of different authors to really be always on a self-discovery mode. Gadeteto, as the title of the book is in English, but as an author, the inspiration for any authors or future authors is that follow that inner gift that you have when you are able to deliver your baby, your vision. When Gadeteto was conceived, it made me authentic, and also the readers are authentic because it's a behavioral change. At the end of your reading, you will have 23 chapters, and you can do that open book to any chapters that you desire. It's not a fiction. It is romantic in chapter 13, which makes me connect with Zeke, and I will read for you a view of love from chapter 13. But today, mainly, I want you to leave, and when you're gonna buy the book, to always think of the essay mentality and also a reference book. The book is easy to carry and also leave you with that curiosity to know, to understand, to find, to give, and to be yourself. Haïtien peut content you. We are always second guessing, or we will have several attempts to defining or knowing. If we were simply to not only limiting knowing to our first name and last name, we will be easy. Let's write down, because I see Jane with a pen, that when I leave this presentation today, what do I know about Jane? Because when you are invited somewhere, pick up more than the first name. Pay attention to people's body language and do your research. That's what Gadeteto invites you to do. And that helps you reduce assumption and help you not only look at people, but to see through people. It helps you take away the many stigmas of petit tendant, petit dehors. You will discover that in the book. Of last name, ou la tortue, ou se petit Géralier, si Maldo have, la politique, without reading the book. But at the end of the day, Gadeteto invites you to the collective because it's a behavior that you do until you take your last breath. Then let me read for you. Gadeteto is not just a music you dance or a movie you watch. Gade Tetu is a shared philosophy. It is a process of self-discovery. It is knowing. It is understanding. It is fighting. It is giving. And it is about being yourself. I want to take you to chapter 14, which is dear to us, Haitians, the word community. Community in Gade Tetu gives you that opportunity to find it within your own household, your home. You cannot ask what you cannot give. When I left Haiti to Puerto Rico and I finished my undergraduate studies, I came to Miami just with my suitcase because Haiti was with a state of embargo. At first, I started looking for Haitian food, start looking for Haitian names, and I was so lost. And the book, as a reference, should be for any one of you a process to redefine community by Gade under la Caillou, by doing that that truth without a mirror, by understanding a theory that I developed in that book called Theory of the Blind. Gade Tetu is so deep, so beautiful. You do not require a mirror to do it because it's a process of your brain, because you have to think before you open your mouth. But you don't go just from your thinking and speaking. You go from your thinking. Hold on a second. Bear with me a second. Thank you. You go from your thinking to your, please put me on pause and I'll get back to you. Please, something is happening. Hold on a second.
All right, Madame Lindor a une petite contrariété. Nous allons continuer. Merci
Thank you. I was
infiniment.
able to come back right away. Thank you for your understanding.
Oh, okay. Merci.
Yes. Then in the theory of the brain, the thing that you process, your thoughts, when you go and have them go to your heart, it is extremely easy when you do that process to speak after. Then in chapter 14, from the process of thinking about community, which is the deepest chapter in the book, it's not something that we look from a distance. It is defined within ourselves. It is also not the I, like I wrote the book, I'm the author. No, it is the transformation from knowing that the I in you is imperfect, but you will always need to find your source of inspiration. You do from your imperfection, you find who had inspired you in your life, whether it's grandmama, grandpapa, or mama. And from that process, you continue. You have to innovate. Nobody will make you innovate. You have to use your inspiration and be motivated yourself and become your own innovator. And in that process, that's how you're gonna start redefining community. Why do you think we Haitians, we always fight with each other? It's because we're looking for a group of association instead of redefining that beautiful community of authors network has a safe platform of contributors. When we define community as a platform of contributors, we will not have time, as you can read in page 68, to be territorial. Your community will allow you to be open and tolerant to others. Your understanding of community will strengthen, because lò fin sotan dans la caille ou ouvert porte là, you will think of your neighbor. The reason why Haiti was beautiful in the 80s, the 90s, relatively, because everybody there experienced, it's because you could knock at your neighbor, your voisin. Gade tête ouan se gade voisin, veye pou li, veye s'il pa gon volet. And that sense of neighborhood, we need to bring it at regardless the level that we are as authors as well. You will enjoy reading Gade Tetou because the 23 chapters, pa gen youn lan nou mem la vi nou pa gen. You were a child. You went through adolescence. You left your home. You went to college, or whether you did not go to college, that's not what matters. But at the end, because I time myself up, you will go and see the connection tonight with me and Zeke about love, while Zeke think that love is a shadow, parce que moi me vire derrière m'bawe l'ombrage, and Gade Tetou, you will see that love, I use colors. I said love is pink. That means it's candid. When you love your community, l'amour fait an dan kaywan. Li gen même couleur rose lan deyo. With love, it's like love is candid. It's like the snow. Même sou pa kon la neige, mais lò fait kwen la tombe, it feels pure. It's like the first time that you had your first kiss. Love of your community, lan lò kompren Gade Tetou, pas seulement dil, it becomes like a purple love in page 58, and that purple love is wisdom. I will stop here and be awaiting of the dialogue, the discussion, and your question. And I highly recommend for you to have that reference book, because you can open it in any chapter and you will find where you connect. And I connect so much with Zeke, and I connect also with Eugene, when Zeke said he has people who read the book and yet did not understand. I had people who are talking and just say, Gade Haiti, Gade Tetou, but yet they never read the chapter on Gade Haiti. They never read the chapter on leadership, but they just say in Gade Haiti. Then I hope that this inspiration will make you not have a book that you will have on your shelf, but open any chapter from it. Be inspired and also write your journey. Thank you, Dr. Fortuna.
Merci, merci, Dr. Lindor. Merci à toi pour cette très belle présentation. Et mesdames et messieurs, ce soir, c'est vraiment c'est une belle soirée. Nous avons eu la chance de découvrir des visions très différentes de l'amour so far. Notre cher Zig nous a fait réfléchir en décrivant l'amour comme un nombre mystérieux. Et tandis que la brillante Dr. Lindor voit l'amour dans un tourbillon de couleurs éclatantes. Elle a parlé de rose, de violet et d'autres couleurs. C'est un petit peu vraiment intéressant, je pense. Et ça veut dire que l'amour peut être vu de façon différente. L'amour peut être à la fois ombre et arc-en-ciel, dépendamment de l'angle que vous regardez. Et maintenant, nous poursuivons avec ce beau voyage littéraire. Et permettez-moi de vous introduire à notre troisième modératrice, notre CEO visionnaire, Madame Nicole, qui va nous présenter la troisième auteure de la soirée, qui est Monsieur Eugène Turnier. Madame Nicole, le micro est à vous.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Of course, that usually happens when you are pressing for time and you have something important to do. So, Dr. Fortuna, please assist me if you could by presenting our special guest, because as I do not see anything, I can see you. Hopefully, you can hear me. Please present our next guest. Thank you.
Aucun problème, Madame Nicole. Let me find the bio so I can read the bio for Monsieur Turnier. La biographie, voilà. Voilà, voilà, voilà. OK. Monsieur Thionnier, alors, mesdames et messieurs, comme vous l'avez entendu, Madame Nicolas a des problèmes techniques. Nous allons présenter la troisième invitée, la troisième personne, qui est Monsieur Eugène Thionnier. Monsieur Thionnier is from la vallée de Jacmel, and after his primary and secondary school in Haiti, he pursued college in the School of Engineering in Port-au-Prince, Faculté des Sciences. To terminate such study at SUNY at Buffalo, he graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering in 1985. He went ahead to pass all qualifying exams to become a licensed professional engineer with the state of New York, where he is still practicing. Monsieur Thionnier is also an avid reader and natural researcher. He read the full Larousse as a child of the countryside of Jacmel to dazzle his friends and classmates with the extent of his knowledge. He was nicknamed philosopher by his seventh grade teacher. And when he took an aptitude test in his last class of secondary school, Dr. Douillon, the top psychiatrist in Port-au-Prince in the 1980s, offered him a job if he accepted to study psychology. He refused and wanted to study engineering. He is presenting today not only as an engineer, but mostly as a philosopher and a psychologist, on which he published two books and is preparing a third book on the same subject. Mr. Tionnier also it does not dumb down the science, he elevates the study to a higher degree to encompass all the higher knowledge in Western doctors and philosophers like Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and so forth. The books are self-help books of existential analysis of the study of man and the unconscious from the existential approach. He develops the stress therapy, winning stress, release, and presence establishing therapy with exercises and presence of existence. He believes that it's impossible to read this manual and not be transformed in fullness and happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Eugene Thionnier dans cette belle discussion authors unscripted today. Monsieur Thionnier, vous avez le micro. Welcome to Authors Unscripted.
Le micro est à vous, Monsieur Turnier.
Vous m'aviez entendu, pas vrai?
D'accord, d'accord, d'accord. Bonjour tout le monde. Bonjour, bonjour. I'm very happy to be with you here today. And every time people meet, get together, they create an energy that is always positive, always doing something good. Why am I here today? Why am I a writer? I didn't choose to be a writer. I became it because I found out that I had to pass an information and to help people get out of their ill being, of their bad feelings. You see, my father was hypertensive. He suffered from hypertension. And I watched him as a kid because when he get angry, he couldn't get out of his anger. He was under the claw of his emotion. So he had to spend like 2 or 3 weeks of being sick before he can come down and become to himself. So I started very early to watch people with hypertension. And as myself turned to be in my 30s, I followed the same path as my father and become very hypertensive. I was so bad that I couldn't even drive from my house to 20 minutes to my job. So that's where I was until I went to Florida. I read a few pages of one book of Jean-Paul Sartre. On my way back, I realized that I found all I needed to undo the hypertension in me. You see, hypertension, no, it's about ill-being. It's about like the first presenter he did, not being connected to yourself, to your environment, and to life. And Dr. Lindo speak about the same thing also. Look at yourself and be connected. The above said the same thing, and what they say is all included into my book, How to Be Connected with Yourself. So I started that journey very early. But when I look at my dad and his hypertension, the man had to be hypertensive, not because of his genes, but because of the way he conceived life, the way he sees himself in life. He was so strict, so demanding, so of himself, taking things so seriously that he had to develop hypertension. And I follow on his path. Mm-hmm. And I believe I didn't inherit the gene of being hypertensive. I believe I learned it from watching my dad live and adopting his way of living. So it's more of less of nature and more of nurture. So you have to be careful of the way you see things, the way you envision things, the way you take things. That is the big elephant in the room that we call the unconscious. Yes. The unconscious is the way we look at ourselves, the way we look at the world, and the way we project ourselves into the future. Into the future. So the unconscious is all our vision. And when you are sons and daughters or descendants of enslaved people, you are very much into a bad trap because your parents have given you the same education that the grandpa have received from the masters, the colons, that talk down to them, make them feel small, unworthy, and very unwelcome to life. So this is education that most of us have received. Most of our parents didn't even know that they had to love us. They had to hug us and make us proud and feeling good about ourselves. Most of our parents never really think they had to do that. That's how we grow up. The unconscious is a big elephant in the room. Nobody talk about it. Nobody admit to it, but it is doing all the problem that we have in our life. It's not really about the food that we eat. It's not about the social class that we are in. It's about us, how we see life, how we feel about ourselves, and how happy the way we see ourselves make us today. Jesus said, I came that you have life and have it more abundantly. Being happy and well-being is a right of a person, of a human being. But forces make sure that we don't get to be well-being. First of all, most of us never make it to be a being. A being is what we call in Creole, for all of us that speak Creole, moun ki gen nam. Moun et nam. Moun, that's why in Creole they say mete moun sou. Moun sa pa gen nam sou li, ki pa gen nam. Jean-Paul Sartre, que moi suive de très près, et moi qui lis à cause de Jean-Paul Sartre, il dit comme ça que mass of being. So if you are alive and you don't have that confidence that self-reception, the love and acceptance from your parents, from your environment, then you become less of a being. You become very much diminished. You are not yourself, and you are unable to be what you're supposed to be and to act in a competitive world and assert yourself. And this lack of assertion will make you sick. And that's what will give you hypertension, diabetes, and everything else. So the work that I set to do in my books is to show the being, the person, how to know that he's sick, to know what happened in his body with that lack of self-confidence, lack of self-acceptation, lack of being happy in himself, all his ill beings, what they do to the body. What I discovered in my researches is when you are not connected to yourself, when you are not accepted in yourself, when you don't feel good about yourself, you play game. You become a fake copy. You become like a robot. You are energized, but you are not connected to who you are. And the problem that the body doesn't know how to handle that. The body does not know how to be a fake copy, how not to be connected with itself. And all the problem of hypertension, probably diabetes, all the issues that we have in our health, most likely doesn't come from our food that we eat. Most of it come from the fact that we are not connected with ourselves. What do we do now to be connected? That is the big question. And this is the same thing that Matthias K. was saying, the same thing that Dr. Liu K. was saying. We have to know our body, know how we feel, know how we react, and what reaction is acceptable and which one is not. In the case of hypertension, the person will freeze the body, become petrified. It becomes a small piece. I mean, a very petrified, hardened, and unflexible. Those are the three things that the person that doesn't like himself, doesn't feel himself accepted, the body will come back and freeze itself. And all of us that are suffer from the illness have an inner fear of the other. When you talk to us and talk to them, you will see they will retract, they will put themselves behind a barrier, and the mind will go off the way. They become absent-mindedness. My book is a crusade against absent-mindedness. We have to be in our body all the time. We have to man up our effort at every second and be there mentally and physically. One of the biggest equation in my book is bring the mind back to the body and avoid at all price all type of dissociation. As dissociation is the fact that under stress, the mind will leave the body and stand on the side of the body. The person is neither calm nor collected. The English word is being calm and collected. Collected, meaning the two parts are together. This is exactly what Matthias was saying. Okay? In love, you have to be there. If you're not there, you cannot love. If the body is the only thing that is talking and the mind is out of it, your charisma is zero, your magnetism is zero, and you don't have the strength to look at people, to appear in your action, and your energy level become very, very low. It's not the food that you eat, it's your unconscious. How do you deal with the unconscious is the main thing in my book. The first part of my hypertension and well-being in the modern era this book, where I show a man living, escaping from a jail, because I believe the body on the subconscious, the anger of my father that he couldn't get out of, the freeze of the body that is hypertensive is suffering from, is a prison that you have to teach the person how to get out of it. The first steps are the freezes of the body that you have to teach the people to unfreeze the body, become flexible, move the head, move the hands, and stay with themselves. One of the consequences of the person freezing the body is the fact that they become absent-minded. As the body freezes, it hides itself from its own consciousness, and the mind moves out of the body. When you do the connection and you unfreeze the body, temporarily, the mind will come back. That's why we have ADHD, attention deficit disorder, that we know very well, because growing up as a child in Haiti, we also had kids that were studying, but they couldn't remember one sentence. They have to chop up the sentence in two parts and repeat it 20, 25 times for them to remember one sentence. That wasn't lack of memory, no understanding. It is the fact that they were not together in themselves for a period long enough for them to see what they saw and remember what they read. The same thing happened to us also when we are picking up our keys to open up a door. Most of the time, we travel so many times in that small period of time that we are choosing which key to put into the key. We spent many times looking at the same key 20 times before we choose the one we have to choose. That because we suffer from attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity, meaning we are there most of the time. The two aspects of my book is presence and absence. The whole book is based on those two aspects, presence and absence. How can you keep the mind present in the body at all times? And when somebody is sick and you see them, you teach them the very basic principle, how to undo the dissociation, how to bring the mind back to the body. And also you can teach them how to not let themselves be dissociated, how they can stay calm and collected, how can they stay with themselves, how can they be themselves. That's number one. But you cannot be yourself unless you accept yourself. And that's where I return to Dr. Lior. You have to be able to look at yourself and you have to be able to accept yourself. Tell where you are. You must be able to get to that point of self-confidence that you can beg with a bowl in front of a church and not feeling bad. The feeling bad that we all experience, it is simply the fact that we are not in our soul. When we go back to our soul, we cannot feel bad. And that's why a guy like Nelson Mandela could stay 27 years in jail and never lost his mind and came out as sharp as today that he went in to become a president of South Africa. If you read his letters that he wrote while he was in the jail, it was all an exercise of keeping the mind in the body. Principle keeping the mind in the body. And the principle of accepting yourself and managing your emotion so they don't get the best of you. That is the first step of my book from 1 to 13. It's how to keep the mind in the body, how not to walk like a zombie, to whenever that you are working, don't let your mind to leave you. Stay with yourself in the process of taking a walk. Whatever you do, making the bed, washing dishes, fixing up the car, you have to do it with yourself, with you. Don't let your mind leave you and go somewhere else. Chapter 13, though, I changed the subject. There, I interpreted a riddle from Nietzsche. Very hard stuff, but I was able to decipher it and come up with 2 exercises. How to steal, S-T-I-L-L, how to steal the mind, and how to keep the mind in the body, because it is easy said, but it's so intertwined in our behavior, it's almost becoming almost impossible. You have to remember, the holy grail of psychoanalysis is the fact is to make the unconscious conscious. The unconscious is the big elephant that is trapped in our life, making us feeling miserable. Unless we know about it, unless we know how to undo it, then we are slaves and we die slave and our life are all miserable. So chapter 13, I'm asking everybody that get the book to read chapter 13 about 3, 4, 5 times. Kind of not easy to understand for most people because Nietzsche was never easy to understand. And he had that anybody at all to be able to decipher that riddle. But I was able to do it. Probably the first one also to do it too. Okay, what did I learn from that riddle that is making it so important? I saw to make the body quiet, calm, the first part of calm and collected, it is to learn two things. Whoever dreams, whoever is up in the air, does it with his jaw open. When your jaws are open, it is like you have a bridle, like a horse bridle into your mouth, and that keeping your jaws open. As long as your jaws is open, bad things are happening to you. You become like a passoire, like a sieve, and every bad idea connect to you. So you have to be to protect yourself from your unconscious or from whatever is operating through the unconscious. And the way to do this is 2 things. When you are driving and your mind is traveling too fast, you go in wherever that you don't want to go. You learn to chop your teeth, to bite your own teeth. And that simple exercise will take you from this mental state of dreaming down to where you sit in the car, wherever you are, you have a better understanding of a better feeling about yourself, of who you are and who you are not. The second aspect of the riddle, where Nietzsche, the great thinker, saw a snake entering the mouth of a young shepherd. When the unconscious acts to your mouth, it goes inside your mouth. To stop the gate, to block the gate, to shut up the gate, whenever you have a chance, driving, sleeping, after you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, you learn one very important question. You shut your jaw, you keep your mouth closed. This will stop that the elephant in the room, the unconscious, from going up and messing up with your brain. This is the holy grail of psychoanalysis that Jung did not discover. Because Jung said the biggest thing to do in this life is to make the unconscious conscious. But you cannot do that because there are too many agitation, too many things are happening. Your traumas, your fight, your fears. your lack of concentration. Everything is messing up with your consciousness. The way for you to stop that illegal entry into yourself is to close your jaw, click up your teeth, and that will prevent you from having the unconscious come into you and messing up your system. And whenever you are also over dreaming or anxious or not feeling quiet about yourself, pose, like they say in my language, what you do is you bite your teeth off, and that will bring you down, and that will allow you to be yourself, to connect with yourself, and to be able to function more, more normal, a lot more happy, because unconscious has very ugly, nasty stuff inside. All what happened to our grandparents, to our forefathers, to our ancestors, they're all coming back to us. They didn't go nowhere. They are what Carl Gustav Jung called the general unconscious. So to prevent that from affecting you today, as you are in that environment, you do this and that will prevent it from happening, and will be a lot calmer. That is my first book.
OK, thank you so much, Monsieur Thionnier, pour ce grand ouvrage, pour ce partage. Un grand merci. Nous sommes vraiment ravis de vous avoir parmi nous. Et nous disons aussi un grand merci à Dr. Lindor et à Zik pour les perspectives puissantes qu'ils ont partagées ce soir. Et c'est là maintenant, nous allons commencer avec la deuxième partie de la rencontre. Nous avons la séance de questions et réponses. Monsieur Emmanuel va guider cette session pour nous. Monsieur Emmanuel, est-ce que tu es là? C'est un homme d'expérience clair et à l'écoute. Monsieur Emmanuel va nous diriger à cette session de questions et réponses de l'audience pour les auteurs. Monsieur Emmanuel, bonsoir.
Oui, bonsoir, docteur Fortina. Écoute, je vais faire comme vous, et donc je dois remercier nos trois écrivains. D'abord, M. Mathias, qui nous a éblouis, Dr. Linda également. En fait, je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui ont commencé par la féliciter. Et puis, c'était aussi intéressant et agréable d'écouter M. Thionnier. Donc, nous sommes prêts pour les questions. Je ne sais pas s'il y a des mains levées parce que je ne les vois pas.
Il n'y a pas encore de main levée, mais j'ai une question. On peut commencer, les modérateurs peuvent commencer avec la séance de questions-réponses. J'ai une question pour M. Zik. Je peux demander à M. Zik quelle expérience personnelle ou observation qui lui a inspiré à écrire cette vision unique sur l'amour.
Thank you, Dr. Fortunat. That's an excellent question. Well, the inspiration comes from all around us, right? When you're growing up, the relationship that you have to the current relationship that you have. So there's the intricacies that I referred to earlier, right? And it's what inspired me is the lack of appreciation for such a intangible subject, because love is not something that you actually could touch, right? You feel, and I wanted to find a way as an artist to describe it because it's ethereal to me. It's not something that you could just, it's indescribable, right? Because I once produced another movie called Crazy Love, right? It talked about how, and it represents like, is there a difference between obsession and love, right? Mr. Tinier probably, with this background could probably answer that better than I can, because if you describe love, right? When you're crazy about something you love, you can't stop thinking about them. And then you say, well, if you interchange the word obsession, it almost is the same thing. And to me, inspiration comes from the lack of expression and appreciation from for the whole love business, I guess. Yeah.
Merci. Thank you so much for the answer. Je ne sais pas si Madame Nathalie a une question avant de poursuivre.
I have a question for Zeke.
OK, vas-y, Monsieur.
Okay. The love that you are describing, is it the lack of connection at the level of the mind? Because man is more body than is more spirit than body, though we never really look at the spirit part. Is the love that you're talking about, is that the communion of the spirit that you are referring to?
Exactly. Exactly. And thank you for that, Mr. Turnier, because when you look at love, right, we don't think about the spiritual aspect of the bond that has to occur first. Like that's the energy that we so much often refer to. Without that energy occurring and circulating, the physical part does not happen because that consummation of the minds has to occur first before you could consummate the physical aspect, and that's my opinion on that.
May I ask, can I add something to my question?
Please, I've been listening to
Okay. Yes,
your presentation. Yeah.
the example I always give for what you are saying in encounters, in sexual encounters, the male always take a position where he never get intimate with the woman he's having sex with. So there was no touching, no caress, and no human connection. That's how I get away with a lot of sexual partners, not being engaged with them. So what for me, I understand you are saying is the mental engagement, the spiritual engagement that make that love real and not just a sexual encounter. Is that what I am saying?
Thank you. No, you hit it right on the nail. That's exactly what I'm saying, because we're talking the point where our shadows are uniting. That's love beyond. That's the ethereal love I'm talking about, where with your shadows are uniting before we get physical, you know?
Okay. I beg to remind you, because my second book is the I, the me, and the shadow.
Mm.
And I think you should look at it.
No, I will.
You're using the shadow as a good thing. I don't accept that, because the shadow is all about bad. So what you're saying, what I believe you want to say is a matching of frequencies. That's not the shadow, the matching of frequencies.
Yeah.
People vibrate at that same frequency. One want to go into the other, and the other want to go into him. So that's what create that union, the matching of frequencies.
Yeah, but the
shadow
is also an extension of you.
No, it's not.
I'm not. So if you're saying
it's a contrary of you. I mean, the shadow, the way I studied it.
Thank you for that.
I mean, thank you for the insight. Good discussion, very good. But this is not for the audience. Ask questions. We're going to have the debate afterwards. So, now, Monsieur Emmanuel, nous avons 3 mains levées. Emmanuel, nous avons Igornier, puis Sabine, et puis Dr. Lindor. Vous pouvez prendre la...
Madame Fortuna, puis-je faire une petite question?
Bien sûr.
Before, if I can have the opportunity as a moderator, one of the questions that I had for is for everybody on the panel. It's in regards to identity. Each individual has defined, et je peux dire en français aussi, chaque individu a défini comment il crée son identité. Dr. Lindor a bien expliqué comment elle-même elle voit la création d'identité dans le cadre d'une communauté. Et Monsieur et Mathias a parlé de la création d'identité à travers certaines perspectives intellectuelles, notamment l'amour, etc. Et notre dernier intervenant a parlé de l'identité vis-à-vis la communauté. I don't know who would like this question, but I would certainly like to debate a little bit more deeply, how do you identify your sense of identity with the sense of community and how that is expressed within, is there a particular way in which this is expressed within your life's work?
I would love to take that question.
Thank you.
And I will follow.
Okay, all right. Identity is what I studied in my second book, The I, the Me, and the Shadow, which I beg everybody to get a copy and look into it. There are two of you. There's the you with the mouth open, that is like a page of a book for no depth, no episode. That is not even really you. The real you is the me. And the I and the me are very different sensation. You can get home, but you are totally overworked. You never really thought about your spouse, your kids. You get home totally unprepared to interact with your environment. That because the I, the one that is working, making the money, running the show, is so preoccupied, it doesn't connect with the me. The same way Matthias is saying that you have to connect with the other party, you also have to connect with yourself. The me is automatic. Unless you spend some time with yourself, thinking about your dad, what you like, unless you enter yourself, you stay always as a wheel, as a page, as somebody doing something, not being really yourself, the me. So just like Matthias is saying in his love, you also have to spend time with yourself if you want to be yourself. Not only somebody going out there and accomplishing things without no connection with themselves. For me, that's the answer to identity, is to forget about what you do for a living or what you have to do today. But from time to time, you have to sit down and go to yourself, remind yourself who's your father, who's your mother, your environment, your community, then make your identity. But it's not intellectual, it's something very physical, very spiritual. And each one of us, if we don't want to suffer from ADHD, if we don't want to go into dementia and Alzheimer, we have to spend time with ourselves to create our identity. And that identity is your family, your sibling, how you go up, the school that you went to, they all have to be telecharged and uploaded into your system every day. Otherwise, you might be disconnected with yourself and you have no identity to talk about.
Thank you for this insightful discussion here. I'm looking forward to the next intervenant who wanted to address this issue.
Okay, identity and gaditetu, it's an evolution. It starts from birth. Then that once okay. When you go and read Gaditetu, the chapter of the childhood tell you that love that Zeke is talking about and the shadow, which is the opposite of himself. You have to love yourself first, self-love. But you cannot talk about self-love and identity without going through the process. The same way we go to school and we discuss Maslow, then the Gaditetu is the Maslow theory for Haitians. Because it starts depuis les mamans à papa poussé. Mais gain de le, okay, you cannot be in denial that your childhood is not the creation of the traditional creation of two. We have to be mindful that the identity can be a single parent, a single father, a grandparent. It starts with that mindfulness, the kote nou soti. And it starts with us accepting whichever values that we received at birth. And that process continues, yes, to the adolescence, yes, when we leave home, Yes, whether we go to college or not, but it's more than just the name that you receive at birth. Because if so, we have to be so culturally minded that in Haiti, sometimes we have the name of our mother, the name of our father, and also the social impact of who did our birth certificate, who the sense of acceptance. There is no identity without self-acceptance, without the understanding of the origin. Because the most beautiful things with identity is that the reading through self is what you call transfiguration, transformation, where people can see through you identité sa ko vle cache. Sometimes we hiding our true self because we don't want people to know that we love cassava and we want to say that it's pancake. We have to be mindful with a sense of denial and not accepting those values from childhood. And it is also embedded when we can seal it and become that self. When you become that self, I disagree there with Tunier. There's no paranoia and it's not being egocentric. It's wisdom. Because when you really go to those slow process in life, and you know that even today that you should be open, that open mind, that to learn from one another, identity should end with wisdom, where you are able to have a global perspective of the where you come from, where you at, and where and how you want to be remembered. I don't know if that helped, Madame Lyoto.
Absolutely. Thank you so
I
much.
can add something to what she is saying.
Yes, of course.
On my third book, I'm studying now the exercises of presentification. The person may not have embedded in himself those identities that he had acquired over the years. So you have to go to exercises of presentifying yourself, of presentification, where you tell yourself exactly, you remind yourself where you were last year, your marital status. You have to enter the animus of who you are, not letting yourself go to be just a paper pusher, to go through life without being connected with yourself. So those are exercises of presentification. My name is Eugene. I live in Baldwin. And all those things, sometimes I have to remind myself them to embed them into my being. Okay. Otherwise, I may be walking in the street and not be connected, not even know where I'm going or where I come from. So those are exercises of presentification. So that's how you build your being. And the being include others. It includes everybody that's around you, all your friends and your family. It's all included into what you are today.
I tend to agree, Natalie. Thanks for the great question. I tend to agree with both Mr. Turnier and Dr. Floor in terms of what is identity, right? But I like to take it a step further. When you think about assimilation and acculturation, where does that factor in identity? And the only thing I could say, me personally, is that word, kwe, that Creole word kwe, has a lot of value in discussing identity, because if you don't start off with thinking who you are, if you don't believe in who you are, then you're gonna leave it to someone else to define who you what you are. They're gonna go a step further and define what your culture should be, or what it should be, who you are as a person. So to me, without again, I agree with both, but you have to factor in the word kwe in it, believe.
And Emmanuel, that's the first gift of Gade Tetou. You should buy it and you will see in English it said, no, lo connaît, c'est le ou kwe. Parce que connaît, même Jean Tunier dit, it's not about books. It's not being intellectual. It's being intelligent. And Gade Tetou also, I always bring that awareness and community where people of a specific country will always think that they are Jécalé, but we are hoping that they could be Jécléré.
Thank you so much. Great discussion, great answers.
Okay, may I add something to what we are saying?
Before, Monsieur Junior, let's take one question from the audience, please.
Okay,
Monsieur
all right.
Garnier, vous avez la parole.
Merci beaucoup. Je ne sais pas si je dois rester dans l'anglais ou un petit peu aussi dans le français ou en créole, comme on gens que tout le monde est capable de sentir à l'aise. Est-ce que créole est bon pour tout le monde?
Oui, vas-y.
Yes.
Ok,
Bon pour moi.
donc m'a félicité tout panel ça, tout intervenant yo, parce que c'est un sujet qui est vraiment intéressant et qui rejoint ce qu'on appelle l'identité culturelle. Parce que j'ai vu qu'en parlant d'identité, on n'a pas mentionné culturel. En partant de cela, je peux dire que nous, en tant que nation haïtienne, en tant que Haïtiens, nous ne faisons pas dans la définition d'identité culturelle que nous projette, disons, l'Occident, en partant, parce que nous sommes uniques dans ce sens-là. Maintenant, nous voyons que ce sujet, c'est-à-dire dans le panel de ce soir, nous avons parlé de spiritualité, de psychologie, d'intellectualité, de sociologie et de mental. C'est là que ça devient très complexe parce que tout ça rentre ensemble. Maintenant, on a parlé aussi de Maslow. On n'a pas mentionné Freud, on n'a pas mentionné non plus Jung, parce que ça rentre dans ce processus-là, la façon que l'on a développé, qu'on essaie de développer ce sujet. Maintenant, on n'a pas parlé non plus de l'acculturation. L'acculturation, de l'enculturation et de la culture, parce que ça vient de là, ce que débattons aujourd'hui. Donc, je ne veux pour poser une question à partir de ce qui avait été commencé par Zek, excusez-moi. Donc, j'ai entendu tout ce qu'on a dit à propos de orthodoxe, l'orthodoxie to express. Il y avait ça dedans. Ensuite, you talk about the best way to connect, about the best way to connect. Is there only one best way to connect? You've talked also about love. Is there only one way to express love without, anyway, which love we're talking about? Because we have interested love and we have also love as love. When you love, generally speaking, and when you say you love someone but is in interest you have in that person, because if that person doesn't do what you want him to do, now you're mad at that person, you don't love him anymore. Or when you love, you love. So since you can't have interested love for someone, why don't we have what they call the detached love? This is for one of you. And when we're talking about content, and also we're talking about the theory of blindness, so which is a little bit difficult to express, to understand. Dr. Lando, avant de traiter, disons, les théories que vous nous avez gratifiées, est-ce qu'il est possible de définir d'abord l'identité haïtienne? L'identité haïtienne. Parce que nous avons hérité disons, de la société, du schème de la société française, à partir duquel nous avons tellement de strates dans notre société qu'il y a certains gens qui veulent projeter, disons, l'Occident au lieu de ce que nous avons vécu chez nous. Donc, est-ce qu'il y a possibilité, avant d'aller dans tout ça, que l'on se définisse, que nous nous définissions d'abord? How can we try to connect to ourselves if we don't know who we are? So, which way we have to go to know who we are? So, I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Garnier.
Monsieur Dick, excusez-moi, je veux dire qu'au cas répondre aux questions, mais nous connaissons que l'intervention, il y a plusieurs questions dedans.
Yeah.
Questions within the intervention.
Qui
So,
t'aimerait répondre, monsieur? Qui t'aimerait répondre,
Ok,
monsieur?
non.
Monsieur Dick répond à la
Docteur
question.
Fortuna, faut que nous tendez ça, Monsieur Gagné dit. Monsieur Gagné, une question spécifique sur Detach Love, ou Zik doit premier. Après ça, il vient sous moi, la Theory of the Blind, l'état pas me vide, ma privé la pas.
Ok,
Parce que
monsieur.
Monsieur Gagné a 5 questions, il ne même pas qu'on a qu'à répondre tous les 5
Non, ça me dit exactement. On a une question qui est plus important. On peut répondre et puis on continue. Voilà, monsieur Zig, vous avez la parole.
Yeah, Dr. Fortuna, I'm on the same page with you. It would take a dissertation, to answer Mr. Garnier, but I'll be brief because my colleagues could get a chance to answer their part. Well, he talked about detached love, right? And he mentioned about the connection. If you remember from the beginning, I talked about a love, right? And Mr. Garnier, it's an ethereal love that I'm referring to. The type of love that you must connect spiritually first before you connect physically, right? I believe the detached love that you're talking about, I mean, there's a maternal, paternal, there's all kinds of ways that we could look at it. But the way I'm expressing it is through the ethereal approach of understanding what is love on the other level of connection, where our shadows are interacting to a point. I know Mr. Tounier might beg to differ with me, but in a sense, it's connecting on a different level. If you remember back in the monarchy days, right, you had to express love where you had to have witnesses, right, in order to consummate the physical part of that love. When you try to get allies with the different countries are trying to get allies. But what I'm saying is, on the spiritual level, you have to bring all the forces of nature together, right? To serve as witness, to connect spiritually, because it talks about bringing the archangels, the purest of archangels. It talks about the stars, the moon, the sun. You have to connect on that level first, right? And at the end of the poem, it says that, when someone asks me, right, are you in love? I simply answer, look at the tears of our shadows. Even shadows have dreams. That's the type of love and connection I'm talking about. I'm sorry I can't answer the other questions, but thank you again. Great question. And hopefully I answered at least one of the questions you had.
Thank you, Zig. Madame, Dr. Lindo, vous avez la parole.
Merci. I will stay specifically to the question of the theory for the blind that I introduced and got to. When in our Haitian culture, and I'm gonna do interconnection now with something specific to our identity. In our childhood, we used to love going to Shan Mass. This is something that is part of our cultural identity in Haiti. That's social behavior, okay? That's habits, because when you're talking about identity, you cannot separate it from habits, coutume, tradition, okay? Then learning how to ride bicycle in Haiti, if you had the chance to have one, the first time you had your first day, Guido, you go gade, and pew, you go hit yourself against the wall. Okay? But at the same time, in that gade, while we're learning to ride that bicycle, in our cultural identity, we never taught our children the mindfulness, the carefulness, the listening. And we always think gade, it's always to open our eyes. But that open eyes, it's physical. That's what we all have. But let's say we're gonna be really doing something that is global, that is inner, that is self-questioning, like I said, until we die. Are we gonna exclude the blind and think that they cannot look? I got inspired thinking of a patient of mine that was blind when I was writing Gade Tattoo. He will recognize my presence by my perfume. Then in thinking of our behavior, we need to be culturally, spiritually, mentally, behaviorally sensitive and mindful to the way we process, always thinking of that shadow. We can close our eyes and be present. You see, we have some people that are not in video, okay? Then we don't see them, but they are present. And that's the theory of the blind, is that deep learning, but simple, not complicated, to connect our thinking, because we're listening carefully, but don't open our mouth yet and take it to our heart because we process and speak. And finally, I hope that I can help Mr. Gagne understand. Then if you close your eyes and you want to really live something that is the Haitian identity, don't think of the colon and things like that. If you close your eyes, ou pose pour un moment, ou pas fouti même si Dieu fait mon, you don't remember a subjumu. Then there are 3 P's also in the process of the theory of the blind, is your ability to pause, faut n'apprendre poser, pour nous process, ça veut dire réfléchir brain, and you proceed, then ou avancer. That's the deep process of kwe, gade, remet, et remet tête nous.
Merci, merci, Madame Lindor. Et puis, Madame Sabine, vous avez une question?
Merci beaucoup. Et je vais juste faire un commentaire parce que d'abord, je voudrais remercier les intervenants. Et c'était vraiment fascinant à écouter les débats et les présentations. Je voulais juste faire un commentaire. J'ai écrit 2 livres, La saison des lois et La mémoire des lois, sur 10 ans. Et pour écrire ces livres-là, j'ai parlé avec les lois. Alors, en entendant tout ce qui se dit là, je réalise que c'est juste un commentaire. Et je remercie beaucoup Zik et pour son intervention parce que ça me permet vraiment de comprendre. Et il a répondu à beaucoup de mes questions. Et je pense que la création de notre identité culturelle se retrouve définitivement à travers les lois, de notre histoire avec la loi, de notre vécu avec les lois du vaudou haïtien. Et les lois m'ont appris, et j'ai transmis cette connaissance à travers les livres, ils m'ont appris que l'amour est une vertu. C'est pourquoi j'aime quand Zik Paul, love is energy, love is powerful. L'amour est une vertu, c'est un principe de vie et c'est aussi un principe divin parce que cet amour-là nous permet de contrôler et de s'harmoniser avec les forces de la nature. Et je pense que l'amour peut nous permettre de développer cette intelligence collective avec nos lois pour mieux vivre notre culture, notre identité, consolider notre identité et notre mode d'habiter la terre, que j'appelle la terre des lois. C'était juste ce commentaire et merci beaucoup à tous les intervenants. Et c'était magnifique et ça a répondu beaucoup à de mes interrogations. Merci.
Merci, Madame Sabine. Et je pense que j'ai vu la main de Monsieur Desrosiers. Non? La main n'est plus levée. Monsieur Manuel Brice.
Oui, sinon, en fait, le docteur Fortuna, il y a M. Turnier qui voulait intervenir aussi par rapport à une des questions d'Eddie Garnier. Donc, on va lui laisser la chance d'intervenir encore là, à nouveau. Monsieur Turnier.
Ah, bonjour, oui, 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 oui. OK, nous parlons de culture, de ceci, et de cela. Mais il y a des affaires qui basiques. Que, par exemple, dans créole là, nous avons les noms et nous avons les dénominés. En plus, là, nous avons marché dans la rue dénominés. Nous pas gagné bons anges nous, que sur nous, nous pas même monde même. Parce qu'en créole, qui doit mettre plus monde sur vous. So, tout ça, n'a parlé, yo bien, mais yo pas fondamental, yo pas en premier. Que en premier, c'est refaire moun, mettre ensemble pour capable venir en puissance, pour gagner en charisme. Sans ça, on va parler avec des zombies qui n'ont pas aucune force, qui ne pas même capable faire rien, qui n'ont pas aucune énergie de production. Pour nous retourner au basique, docteur qui parlait de mindfulness, qui en pile, dans le livre, les présence et charisme. Il faut qu'on ait une présence. Et pour avoir une présence, il faut qu'on ait sur lui. Bring the mind back to the body. So those are the basic. That's the point we start from. That person, that being, doesn't have enough mass of being for him to be a force, to be an existence. Before all those questions, we must first establish the being, retirer tout ça qui empêche lui fonctionner, tout ça qui a pu suffoquer lui, tout mauvais traitement qu'il était petit, tout trauma qui était tout puisé. Tout ça, c'est qu'on peut retirer par ça, ou parler avec un zombie, ou pas parler avec un monde qui ne peut faire rien du tout. So, travail que pour nous faire, travail qui est premier, c'est habilité individu ça qui croche in his being, qui a caché un bon roche, qui n'est pas capable de paraître, même dans le voile même dans le garder que on monde qui est dans le G. Il n'y a pas aucun charisme qui la caille. Dans la théorie que Organes là, force n'a pas parlé, c'est force que charisme ça. C'est le monde ça qui gagne l'esprit qui est sur lui, ça qui bons gens. C'est le monde ça qui exhibité, que la caille gagne qui est force. Leur passe côté, on peut sentir non, que force ça. Les plus primal, les plus basic. Et c'est là pour nous commencer. Pas de culture, ça qu'on va gagner quelque chose ça. Regardez bien qu'en Haïti, comme monsieur qui te dit, oui, il y a acculturé, mais il n'y a pas acculturé par rapport à eux-mêmes, il y a acculturé à une puissance étrangère qui paraît meilleure, qui n'a pas aucune valeur. Ou bien qui même pas tout dans toute culture qui est africaine, les pays qui sont colonisés. Qui ont quitté blanc vini, volé, qui pillé, il a préparé langue blanc, il a mis un costume blanc, et après, battre tes valeurs, combien ils ont intégré en culture qui n'est pas pour eux. So, c'est un système de dénominage. C'est un mot qui est très commun dans la zone que Jacques met là. So, pour nous, pas rien qui est capable de faire, tout ça, c'est nous pas encore accepter qui est nous, retirer toute mauvaise herbe, épine qui suffoque le mi, que le moi, pour quitter le moi qui unfold, épanoui, pour capable venir qui est lié à. Identité, c'est monde, c'est bon Dieu qui crée le monde, et monde est force shadow que nous parlons, qui appelle là, les retirer monde la caille non. So, faut nous obliger à faire shadow à retirer l'emplace pour permettre à monde que bon Dieu qui crée venir lever. Même Jean que Jésus-Christ dit que l'évangile là, pendant qu'elle a dormi, Dieu a venu lui semer épines, mauvaises herbes dans le jardin qui blé. So, travail que premier, c'est retirer toute peur, tout trauma, tout mauvais traitement, tout coup de pied, yo te kon ke ban nous. Chaque fois, yo te dit nous l'école, exprime-toi comme si langue ou gagnant pas une langue qui est liée. Tous exercices qui rapetit ou, qui faut sentir ou inexistant. Premier travail que pour nous faire, comment est-ce que la première livre là, c'est retirer bagage ça yo one par one parce que chaque grain bagage ça que nous fait, li gagne un effet sur nom nous, li fait nom que petit critique on te que nom nous disparaître net. Qu'on y a travail que pour nous faire en 2025, c'est pour nous faire on crusade pour nous redire que haïtien, c'est monde pour tout le monde. Français a pas plus bon facile. Allemand pas plus bon facile. Que créole là son langue pour toute langue liée. Il n'y a pas besoin ni échec que de lui-même. Et si l'échec que de lui-même, c'est une preuve que dénominage qu'il fait sous l'IA marché. Parce que comprend que en français, pour tout mal qu'il fait dans le monde, qui a parlé de un bon monde toujours, c'est un joke. Et si on fait ou même qui haïtien, qui bataille pour l'indépendance, qui libère un pile pays qui esclavage. Haïti sont super power qui est lié. Qui est aidé que Colombie, Venezuela, que Bolivie, un pile pays qui est là, qui arrive là. Qui est aidé que Amérique, que la Grèce. Les Haïtiens, bien comme ça, ils apprennent à accepter qui est lié. Et pour me répéter, ça, docteur Liwa, qui te dit, elle apprend à garder tête, là pour rejoindre force ça, là pour rejoindre charisme ça, qui va qui des monde parler avec mal encore, la connaître qui ça qui vous le fait. Le naturel, le moi est naturel, que le moi vient de Dieu, mais le shadow, que l'ombre, vient les planter trauma, malfaisance, que tout pisi, mauvais traitement, coup de pied, exprime-toi, qu'on fait, moi, tu vois ça, que c'est une pour nous retirer chaque, chaque empreinte, ça qui était là, non, nous, c'est pour nous retirer les grain par grain. Et moi, je secret, comment pour empêcher the unconscious, and even the collective, the unconscious, to raise up from wherever and suffocate and choke your your being. And liberated, you will feel okay, you will feel happy, and optimistic, with the energy to leave your mark in the world. You become what I call an existentialist.
All right. Thank you, Monsieur Thionnier, pour cette bonne réponse élaborée, bien élaborée. Nous avons une main levée. La dernière question que nous pouvons prendre ce soir, l'heure nous fait la guerre. Monsieur Patrick Gaspard, vous avez la main levée. Brièvement, quelle est la question? Patrick Gaspard.
Bon, c'est pas une question, c'est comme d'habitude. C'est surtout une petite remarque que nous avons fait sur un aspect, semble-t-il, que nous pas abordé. L'aspect éducatif, c'est-à-dire au niveau de l'éducation. D'après expérience, observation que me fait l'homme de l'école, qu'a dit, Mosé dit que me rencontré plusieurs bons enseignants, même pas rencontré un pile bon éducateur, en ce sens. Moi, expliquez-moi. Par exemple, devant une salle de classe, en présence de salle là entière, un professeur observe un élève et il regarde l'élève là sous apparence physique. Il dit, mademoiselle, on voit bien que vous venez des bas-fonds. C'est-à-dire, il humilier, il rabaisser devant toute classe là. Et c'est pas, moi, je fais observation ça plusieurs fois. Dans d'autres écoles, l'homme était dans la classe humanitaire, le professeur a associé le comportement élève là, des élèves à appartenance sociale. Donc, de là même, l'école là même, à l'école même, sur les bonnes écoles, cultiver ça, des préjugés sociaux. Au lieu de ça, essayer à planir, il y a tendance exacerbée. Tu vois? Et bon, c'est ça. Bon, pour m'aborder un sujet peut-être plus futile, même au niveau de la musique populaire, le gros rivalité entre deux groupes musicaux, ils ont polarisé le public là, et finalement, bah, la fin prend une dimension sociale, basée, n'est-ce pas, sur peut-être appartenance, origine, dirigeant, un groupe par rapport à un autre. Donc, ce est très grave, et l'aspect éducatif là, faut nous accentuer sur lui en pile. C'est très important. Et
Merci.
après ça, Madame Sionnier, pour proposer, elle prend temps pour nous réaliser. C'est tout. Merci.
Merci, M. Gaspard, pour l'intervention. Alors, on a dit un grand merci à tout le monde, les 4h45. Nous allons prendre les derniers mots parce que nous allons auteur une chance pour être capable vraiment de un dernier mot final. Et M. Emmanuel, un dernier mot avant que nous entrions dans la phase finale.
Pas vraiment, docteur Fortuna. Sinon, écoute, on remercie le public. Il y a eu beaucoup de questions. On remercie la qualité des interventions aujourd'hui. Je pense que notre public est très, très édifié. Et puis, il y a eu beaucoup de félicitations de la part de nos internautes par rapport à tous aux interventions. Et puis, je pense qu'on est capable de continuer vu que l'heure avance comme vous dites. Et puis, je te laisse continuer, docteur Fortuna.
Merci, merci Emmanuel. Voilà, mesdames et messieurs, nous arrivons à la fin de cette belle session. Un grand merci à nos invités, Zik, Dr. Lindor, Monsieur Thionnier, pour leur partage inspirant et leurs réflexions profondes. Nous remercions également nos modérateurs qui nous ont guidés avec brio, ainsi que le comité exécutif qui a fait un bon boulot pour mettre le travail ça sur place, créer plateforme chaque dimanche pour que nous soyons capables de venir là réunir des auteurs pour nous discuter, disperser, promoter l'un l'autre. Ça vraiment permet que nous fassions un travail extraordinaire. Merci au comité pour ce bon travail, ce travail acharné que vous fait week after week. Et n'oubliez pas que l'auteur network, nous sur YouTube. So, pas oublier, nous chaque là, passer abonner avec Authors Network, si nous refait ça. Abonner avec nous pour capable rater aucune rencontre que nous gagnons ou bien aucune interview que nous faisons week after week. Nous vous donnons rendez-vous dimanche prochain. Mais avant de vous donner rendez-vous dimanche prochain, je voudrais donner 1 minute à chaque auteur, chaque présenteur, 1 minute pour que vous puissiez faire un petit rappel, un dernier mot pour l'audience, nous dire exactement où trouver le livre, parce que je sais que le livre, vous avez 1, 2, 3 livres disponibles. C'est l'occasion de laisser votre empreinte et partager un dernier message inspirant, de connecter avec l'audience, nous dire exactement où trouver vos ouvrages. 2 minutes pour chaque invité. Commençons avec Zik et puis Dr. Lindor et puis Monsieur Thionnier. Monsieur Zik, vous pouvez commencer avec votre dernier mot et où trouver votre livre.
Well, thank you, Dr. Fortuna, for moderating a great panel discussion, and thank you, Natalie, for introducing me, and my friend Hervé for all for inviting me to the Authors Network, and I'm very grateful, and I'm expressing a lot of gratitude for that. I want to say that one way of encouraging, I'm listening to, and this was inspirational for me too, because I'm listening to Mr. Tournier and Dr. Fleur talks about their book, and I'm like, wow, I can't wait till I get off to go order it, right? To order Garete too, right? Because you're gonna need that. And when you talk about hypertension and well-being, we cannot talk about that, right? After you get those books, make sure you get Loving You in My Silence, because you're gonna need a little bit of love after you deal with their book on a softer approach. And again, thank you. I forgot to mention Emmanuel also for moderating. I mean, for the questions that he asked. But and I can't be thankful enough. I want to use the last 10 seconds just to say thank you for this platform, because it's very inspirational when you get to see other like-minded people in the audience and their interaction, and to be able to express your thoughts, while we're disagreeing, but yet it's still collectively beautiful. So thank you for that. And again, just remember one thing, purchase Loving You in My Silence, because the definition of love, if you heard the first part, is true love is a reality that does not know the boundary of dreams. So if you go in that presence, you're going to believe. And again, don't forget the word kwe in everything that you do. Thank you again, the Authors Network.
Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Lindor, it's your turn.
Gade tetu. 3 mots. 3 words. It resonates with I love you. As part of Haitian identity and Haitian behavior, it's been always a stigma to hear a parent tells his son or her daughter, I love you, moi remeo. Do that practice today wherever you come from. Gade tetu will never end because only you, the true you, with your shadow, without the mirror, learning the theory of the blind, not theory of the blindness, but theory of the blind, will make you be tolerant. I valued today's participation because it was open book. If it had a specific title, we would not have the opportunity to continue that self-quest and self-discovery. I second Zeke, who I'm a fan of several of his documentaries, and I will buy his book. I am very grateful for this platform, and I'm looking forward to many discussions because Gade Tetu, when you just say it, and the Haitian identity and culture, ou pa ka kite lwa yo deye. Aswea, mwen content que te gen respect, te gen pratique de tolérance pour nous capables comprendre qui jan pour nous kwe, comprendre, joindre tête nous, bay tête nous, et pour nous capables remettre tête nous. Merci, la Amazon, accessing the book and Amazon, you can get it and you can get my other books. Until we meet again, thank you, the Authors Network, and everybody, their leadership, their management, to make this afternoon very inspirational. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Dr. Lindor. Et à ce moment-là, nous arrivons au point d'entendre M. Thionnier pour la dernière présentation, le dernier mot de la discussion.
Moi, remercie tout le monde. Moi, remercie Fanini pour prendre tout l'effort pour faire tout le travail ça. Moi, un gros coup de chapeau. Ok, moi, paraître avec une nouvelle psychologie qui est différente de Freud, qui est différente de Carl Gustav Jung, et que moi, quoi, la humilité, moi, que un jour qui parle remplacer psychologie classique de Freud et de Jung. Moi, les existential analysis. Mais tous deux écrivains qui n'ont pas panel, ils sont existentialistes tout. Parce qu'il n'y a pas de connexion, il n'y a pas d'identité, il n'y a pas de being. C'est nouveau ça que je porte. So, les moins seulement pas pour un Freud, pas seulement pour un Carl Gustav Jung, que moi étudié en pile dans tous les livres, mais moi pour un tout Jean-Paul Sartre, Friedrich Nietzsche, et moi pour un tout John Bradshaw. Si nous avons petit temps pour nous, si tu n'avez pas petit temps, nous, lis John Bradshaw, il est facile que aller. Il a comprendre, qui ça travail qu'il m'a fait. Jean-Paul Sartre a écrit L'être et le néant. This search for the being is important, and this is what I am about. So, what we call in Creole the nom or the moon, c'est que moi trouvé que nous pas insister sur ça en peu, sur ça qui en plus, monsieur a fait une remarque dans l'éducation, il n'y a pas encouragé que tout le monde a formé personnalité li, il prend plaisir pour détruire personnalité que tout le monde. So, expérience moins et espoir moins, c'est que nous retourner à accepter tête nous pour ça nous y a, que nous fait des exercices de présentification. C'est pas un mot qu'anglais, c'est même qui est capable de finir pour apprendre à intégrer moun ou y a l'encore. n'est pas automatique. Ou pas automatiquement songer qui est souillé, ou pas automatiquement réagir en fonction de qui est souillé. Si gagner une identité, c'est ça lié. Moun bon Dieu te créé. Moun ça que shadow yo vini pour les trangler, pour les suffoquer. C'est pour retirer main shadow qui a essayé trangler ou retirer couleuvre qui rentre dans la bouche de garçon qui Nietzsche qui était voyant pour capable libérer création bon Dieu qui est dit à Adam moins créé pour dominer en bas ici. Pas supposé marcher tête baissée, ou pas supposé demander permission, ou bien droit à toute bagaille que mon gen droit qui à lui-même ou c'est au monde tout et on se monde qui est entier. Mais il n'est pas automatique. Si nous sommes on va qui me dit que je dis devenir un monde pour capable kembe dans mon sou, c'est un travail, c'est une bataille, c'est un struggle. It's not automatic. So you have to work on it. And look for whomever that you can feel comfortable with. But I know it's almost impossible to understand Carl Gustav Jung, almost impossible to understand Jean-Paul Sartre. But I believe I did a very good job at simplifying them in a way that everybody can access to it, take advantage of it, and grow to be a being. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you so much. Merci, Monsieur Turnier. Merci beaucoup. Et livre sur Amazon, pas vrai?
Oui, oui. Yes, c'est tout de sur Amazon. Juste taper non moins et Eugène Turnier et apparaître. Il y a en français et il y a en anglais. Et il y a un troisième qui va apparaître très bientôt.
OK, voilà, sur Livio sur Amazon, plusieurs langues. So, voilà, c'est ça. Merci encore à tous, mes trois et auteurs, Zik, Monsieur Tiorni et puis Madame Dr. Lindor. Merci beaucoup. Nous t'es vraiment édifiés. Et tout, un merci spécial à notre auditoire qui t'a vraiment posé des questions pertinentes, des questions vraiment qui étaient bien placées. Et de te remettre la curiosité, l'énergie qui était là. C'était vraiment une réunion réussie. Merci, merci beaucoup à tout le monde. Merci à notre comité exécutif. J'en ai dit tout à l'heure, tout le monde qui a vraiment contribué pour que cette réunion était vraiment réussie. Et pas oublier, abonner avec Authors Network sur YouTube, parce que nous, là, nous, comme si il y a toutes les réunions qui là, qui disponibles, ou alors regarder encore, revivre encore, et maybe poser des questions dans les commentaires que tu as une réponse appropriée là. Alors, merci encore à tous. Le rendez-vous, c'est pour le dimanche prochain. La semaine prochaine, à la même heure, 3 heures, pour une nouvelle session avec d'autres auteurs qui sont encore plus intéressantes et plus chaleureuses. N'oubliez pas, marquez votre calendrier pour dimanche prochain à 15 heures précises sur l'Authors Network pour Authors Unscripted. Merci, bonsoir à tous et passez une très, très, très bonne fin de semaine. Et puis, comme c'est un holiday weekend, vendredi, enjoy the weekend. Pas manger trop. So, on vous reverra dimanche prochain à la même heure pour une nouvelle session Authors Unscripted sur Authors Network. Bonsoir à tous et bye.
Merci et au revoir. Merci.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you so
Au
much.
Oui,
revoir.
bonsoir à tous.
Au revoir.
Merci. Bye bye. Bye bye.